All right, that's the second time it went down. Hopefully it stays up this time. Third time's a charm. Broadcast keeps dropping. All right, got one more to do. Make it two just for fun. All right. 20 is done. We gotta do it again on Friday. And then on Monday we do the increase. So every week increase it by 3. And that will ensure that I can do the 100 by Memorial Day. Into squats. Man, I don't know what I was doing. Supposed to only do a set of 10. But I got excited. Got ahead of myself there. Did 20. Sad spooky robot. Love how this room is basically becoming a shrine to Marvel and DC. Ah. Well, I always really enjoyed comic books when I was a kid. But when I was like older and I was working at a group home with kids that were from really sad backgrounds, and man, reading comic books was a great escape. Like a universe where problems get somewhat solved by heroes. It's a fun escape. Um, I always like things that can take me out of this world temporarily. Let me get somewhere nicer. Oh yeah, it's a totally great break from reality, says sad spooky robot. Yes. Yeah. I used to read a lot, and I think I was like 15 or 14. My uncle got me Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and that book was awesome for escaping reality and kind of just helping you, even when you're in reality, see comical solutions or comedy all around you. Because I never got into comics, but I love the films and especially the 90s X-Men cartoons. Yeah, those are always fun. I like how the films just got better and better over time. Oh yeah, Hitchhikers is a genius series of books, TV, audio, film. I never did the radio series, and I should. Um, did you know that Douglas Adams wrote for Doctor Who? Once you like look at Doctor Who and Douglas Adams, it becomes apparent. And there's a couple of references in the newer Doctor Who. By newer, I mean starting in the 2000s Doctor Who, where they reference the Hitchhiker's Guide. That Spooky Robot says, I'm English. So, yeah, I didn't know for a long time that it was a radio show. And then that's how it started. But it makes sense. But I just loved how random it was. And like I border on, I'm easily distracted. My attention span and mind races. So that was perfect for me. And City of Death is such a good Doctor Who story. Which one is City of Death? Because I'm like, there's the one where they're in the plague hospital, but is that the one with Rory? Or no? I have to catch back up. I had like a really hard time with, and pardon me for not remembering his name. I did not like the older Doctor Who after David Tennant and Matt. Can't think of his name. But the older one was just not my favorite. It took me a while to knuckle down and get back into it. And then like it kept jumping out of the subscriptions that I had. So from the 70s, written by Douglas Adams, set in Paris. I'll have to go back and watch those ones. It always cracks me up. Like some of my, or most of my favorite book series are all written by British people. Starting, of course, with Tolkien. Tolkien was my first like cliffhanger where I had to like find the answer right away. Like when you get to the end of Two Towers. My dad had the series, and I randomly read Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Rings on my own, and then jumped into Two Towers. And I knew we had Return of the King somewhere in the house because I had seen it, but I didn't know where. And I got done with Fellowship of the Rings, which, spoilers, ends with Sam not knowing if Frodo is alive or not. And man, I just had to know. And like I tore my house apart. I think it was like 13 or 14 trying to find that book. And then of course there was Harry Potter was a fun series. Harry Potter may be the single series of books outside of maybe the Bible that I've read the most. Because I got the first 4 books from my cousin. And let's see. It says in reference to the City of the Dead. It's really clever and funny. Oh yeah, I've read Lord of the Rings twice, and yeah, that cliffhanger is so exciting. Yeah, so I read the first 4 Harry Potters before the 5th one came out, and then before the 5th one came out, I reread it, and then before the whole series, and before the 6th book came out, I reread the whole series, and then I read it after again through, and I did that every single book all the way through the Deathly Hallows. And then I kept having dreams where I had Harry Potter's wand, but the only spell I could remember in the dream is Lumos. And then I was dumb because all I could do was light up my wand and was missing out on all the magic. So then I reread the whole series with spending an inordinate amount of time focusing on the spells. And it works. My dreams got better. So now if I have a wand in my dream, I'm better than just being able to light it up. Oh, let's see. Have you read any of his Dark Materials trilogy? I haven't. I started reading one of his books. It's the one where they're like everything's being created, and I just didn't get into it at the time. And I think I had it from the library, and I had like a stack of books from the library that I found more interesting, and then just returned it and never jumped back into them. But Northern Lights, I think it was called Golden Compass in the US. No, I never got into those. That's the 65-pound dumbbells, 29.48 kilograms. Were they good? No, it's just a little bit. Yeah, I had Harry Potter dreams after reading the books too. Were you able to use the wand for more than just lighting it up? Did you ever see the English show, the British show, Misfits? It was a really good show, I thought. Misfits is where a bunch of kids on probation in England get superpowers, but they're kind of screw ups and they keep screwing up. That spooky robot says, "Oh yeah, Misfits was really good." Yeah, the kid that couldn't die, he ended up going into Umbrella Academy, and I hope he does more stuff. I really liked him. And then the Invisible Kid ended up in Game of Thrones, where I thought he did a really good job in Game of Thrones for being a brutal, evil guy. He was really good in Game of Thrones. All the actors ended up in Game of Thrones and Umbrella Academy. Yeah, that was good. But I liked those two a lot. I just liked how they kept accidentally killing their, I forget what you call it, not a probation officer or parole officer, but that one I had to do some reading about different things because it was hard to understand all of the some of the cultural stuff, like the, it's not projects, but it's like projects where they lived and how that all works. I think one of the fun parts about British shows is learning the different accents and who fits where in society. When you're younger, British accents, a lot of them, you know, sound better than American accents. So it's easy to assume that all British people are upper echelon and like this like false idea that they're all way better off than Americans because of their accents. And then you start to learn like, oh no, there's differences. That speaks about says, yeah, it's a very British urban environment. We have a million accents. Yes, you do. You do. So many. I like how Guy Ritchie's films plays a lot into that. I have an uncle who's British, and he's just such a great, very well spoken, but I assumed he spoke good English. And we were talking about it one time. He's like, no, like, he's like, it would be embarrassing for me to speak in front of the Queen because my English and the way I talk is that bad. And you never would have known it. Like in America, he could have passed for royalty if he wanted to, I'm sure. We can't tell, especially at that end. America does have a lot of accents that we find hard to identify too. There's this funny one where we make fun of Bostonian accent a lot, people from Boston, and the British would make fun of people from Boston and the way they talked. But some linguists and historians pointed out that Boston is actually more accurate English to the colonial period, and that I forget which king, but there was a king that spoke a certain way, had an affectation which dictates the current way that the British speak. and that the idea that America didn't change the way we spoke, we didn't get worse, is that the British changed the way they spoke dramatically. Kind of like how the Spanish speak with a lisp, but that's an affectation that was part of the royal family and then got kind of fed into everyone else. My favorite accent story is the Australians. And not all Australians like it, especially the ones that wish they were not